Hello, everyone. Let's just wait for a couple of minutes so that everyone join and I'll start the stream. By the way, is my voice audible? If someone can confirm, is my voice clear? Is the screen clear? I think it is. Yes, okay, thank you. Hi Somnath, hi Manshu. Thanks for confirming. Hi Modi. Yeah, just wait for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, and then we'll start the stream. I think the chat might be a little delayed. Okay, so if my response is late, just bear with it. But I think it is not so much delayed. And if you want the link to this slides that I have made, you can find it in the description of the video. Uh, you can refer to it later. Okay. Just one more minute and we'll start. Okay, let's begin. So, my name is Apoorv. Welcome to my YouTube channel. As some of you might know, that I am a software engineer at Walmart, um, and I primarily work with front-end on React and also with backend with Node. And total, I have 6 years of experience. So that's me going to share my experience of how I have been learning about web development and how I have been learning about JavaScript and how I am improving all my skills, and I'm continuously learning. So the learning never stops. If you are in this software industry, the learning will never stop. Okay, so you always have to keep learning. And here, this is the guide which I'm providing based on my experience. What is required for you to learn, to understand, so that you can become a expert in web development. Now let's start with the first slide. So this guide contains details about tech that anyone from anyone, like fresher, you are even undergraduate, like you are in second year, third year, first year, but you have interest for web development, you know that something that is you want to explore at least, or you want to make it your career, then it is this guide is for anyone from fresher to even seniors, even who have like 5 6 years of experience and they want to become an expert in this field, then this guide applies for them too. And I'll be sharing learning resources along with the concepts that I am telling you that you should learn. Again, this is created based on my experience of 6 years of experience of web development. And one important thing is that this guide is for web developers who want to specialize in front end. And see, the thing is, people usually think that they want to become full stack developers. Okay, technically speaking, full stack developer is a sort of myth. Okay, you if you are a full stack developer, you are either a full stack developer who specializes in front end, or who specializes in backend. There's nothing like, you cannot just keep up with, so much is there to learn. And even 10 years, 15 years, people will not call them full stack developers because they know what exactly full stack means. Okay, so if you think that knowing just MERN stack, which is Mongo, Express, React, Node, makes you full stack developer, then you're not right. So this is a guide for full stack development, keeping in mind that you will be specializing in the front end. Okay, um, except for some resources, all the learning resources are free. Okay, and the one which are paid are definitely not sponsored. This is not a sponsored video. Or anyways, I have find it subscribers who will give me sponsored, but just I'm mentioning it that it's the paid resource that I have mentioned. There are only 3 or 4. They are very good. Like the amount of value that they give for the price, that is awesome. That's why I mentioned them. Otherwise, I wouldn't never mention any paid resource. Um, and also, if after going through this roadmap, if it gives you any value, kindly share it with others. Okay, among your friends, if you're in college, among your WhatsApp group, whatever it is, it will definitely help them. And do let me know how did you find it on LinkedIn. You can just click over here and you can find my handle, LinkedIn handle. Cool. So let's begin. So yeah, web development cannot begin without HTML. So first and foremost, what you need to learn is HTML. So I know some of you who have joined this stream are sort of intermediate level web developers, but bear with me. I'll have to cover for everyone who will be just stepping into web development. So yeah, HTML, you should learn that. It defines the structure of your web app, sorry. And you should learn the concept of what are semantic tags, what are the attributes of all the tags, what are the meta tags, and etc. There are lots of not too many, but there are a couple of concepts that you should learn. And these are the learning resources that I've provided over here. I actually created a separate app long back, I think a year ago. So here in this you will find the resources through however you like to learn. Okay, if you like to learn through videos, through reading, through interactive, through coaching. So if you go to videos, you will get these options. If you go to HTML, okay, then you will find these are the options where you can learn HTML. Okay, HTML and CSS both are clubbed together. Okay, if you like to learn through reading, then these are the options: Odin project, web dev for beginners by Microsoft. So there are tons of resources, and the best one would be free code camp. Like that's the, I think everyone would be knowing it, and this is the best resource to learn web development. So yeah, that's the resources. So that's one website that I've created. And then W3 schools, everyone knows this. Then this is important: Mozilla Firefox documentation. This you might not might not be beneficial for you to learn because it's very much technical, but it will be definitely helpful when you're referring, when developing any applications. Okay, so I refer MDN day in and day out whenever I'm developing anything. Okay, and this is like the best resource for any sort of attribute or any sort of HTML tag that you think that exists or what does it do. Then you have to come here, you have to just select this, the all the uh, tags are available over here. You can click on any one of them and you can understand what it does. And they also give examples. So if I go over here, okay, this one does not have it, but most of them do have examples also with them, so you can know what exactly what it does. So yeah, that is about the MDN docs. So this is HTML. HTML doesn't take much time. If you give couple of hours, like say 10 to 20 hours, it should be done. I mean, I'm saying max to max 10 to 20 hours, it should be done. Like it should be done within 1 week if you can just spare 2 hours per day. I think within 10 hours it should be done. That's nothing much in that. Coming to the next, which is CSS, cascading style sheet. Okay, so it is used to describe the presentation of your document written in HTML. It describes how your element should be rendered on screen, on paper, in speech, and other media. So let me now talk about what does on paper and in speech mean. So on paper means you can add media queries. There is something known as media queries, and you can tell if someone wants to take a print of your page. How should it look? So you might want to remove the headers, you might want to remove the footers, or you might want to do some padding, some ads on sides. You might want to remove that. So you can set that by using media query, and you can do that. Also in speech. So if I'll just open this, so here it mentions how you can use CSS so that it can be used for speech also. Okay, here you see this voice family, voice stress, voice volume. Okay, when it should be bold, like pause after, like if someone is reading your document, okay, then when they should have pause, okay, when the volume should increase, when the pitch should be high, all of that can be controlled over here. This is very good for accessibility. Okay, so for those who don't know what is accessibility, so that is for people who want to use internet, but they are sort of differently labeled. Either they are visually impaired, or they have some issues watching the screen, like the bright light of the screen does not uh, go with their eye sensitivity. So for all those sort of people, you can use this voice. Okay, so CSS helps us describe the elements, how it should be rendered on screen, paper, in speech, and other medias also. Okay, but CSS has tons and tons of properties. Okay, and they always keep evolving. So if you want to be staying updated with all of these properties, and I would say go to the state of JS. Okay, there's something known as state of CSS. Sorry, state of CSS. Go here and just check their survey, latest survey, or take surveys. You just go to views 2020 results and check the features, what are available, what is new. Okay, layout. See here, this grid, this subgrid. This is a new feature in CSS. See how many people have used it? Only 6%. How many know about it? 43%. How many never heard of it? 50%. So there are 50% people who have never heard about subgrid. Okay, so similarly you can learn about new features over here. Exclusions is there, a lot of things is there. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the website you can go and be updated of the new features that come in CSS. But it is a lifelong thing. You can never stop learning it. You always have to Google it and figure out what property to you have to apply and stuff. Okay, but there are some of the important concept of CSS that you should definitely learn and remember. So that is, one of them is box model, then positioning, like absolute, relative, fixed, sticky, then specificity, very important. This will be helping you in applying correct selectors. Okay, so that you can apply your style correctly. And then flexbox, most of the people use flexbox. There is one more thing which is known as CSS grid. Very less people use it, but also you can learn that. But flexbox is used day in and day out everywhere. Then pseudo classes, there are many pseudo classes. Okay, they help you a lot. And then there is Z index, media queries. Media queries is what will help you in writing this on paper, in speech, and all this stuff. I think in speech is different, but yeah, on paper and all those stuff. Basically responsive layout. Now what is responsive? Basically, if you want your website to be looking perfectly well, okay, in all the screen sizes, like be it desktop, be it laptop, be it a huge screen laptop like 30 inches or something, or any mobile of all different dimensions, or any tab. Okay, then you can use media queries. Okay, so this is very important for you to build responsive websites, and you should always build responsive websites. Okay, otherwise there's no point. It's like most of the people use their phones almost all the time. I'm sure pretty much of you, everyone is currently watching it on your phone only, this live. Okay, or even whenever you're watching this video later, you are currently watching it on your phone. And if you're trying to open in this website, it will be also in your phone. Okay, so you should always target for responsive websites. So those are the concepts. And where should you learn? This is one awesome resource created by Google. Okay, they have created it recently, I guess last year only. So here they have described everything regarding to CSS, and they even keep updating this stuff. Okay, so you can go to like anything, like go line by line, like go topic by topic, but I'll just go to, let's say, layout. So it opens, then there is a short podcast about it. Then they will describe everything, like from history to everything. Like, see, nicely they have told like what is margin, border, padding, block. This is there. Then flex, grid. Okay, and at the end they take a quiz also, I think. Yeah, check your understanding. They do a quiz also for after every module. There will be multiple questions sometimes. Okay, so this is a very good resource for you to learn CSS, and this is a completely free resource created by Google. Okay, so definitely go for it. Otherwise, yeah, there are resources are in my website also. As I said, in my website, you go to HTML CSS section, you can find a lot of uh, resources over here. Okay, cool. Okay, if you guys have any questions, do let me know in the chat. I am observing chat also, so do let me know. But I think till now there should be no questions because it's completely straightforward as of now. I will pause for questions also, don't worry. Then for learning Flexbox, this is the best resource. Okay, best and free. Like, there are so many free resources that you should never be paying for anything. Okay, unless like it's a live session or something like that. So what the Flexbox? This is a very like amazing course. Okay, I have learned this like 2 3 years back from this Flexbox, and it is still relevant. So there are like 20 modules. Okay, you can just spend one weekend and learn entire Flexbox, everything that that there is to learn about Flexbox. Just add your email address and you're good to go. Like it's completely free. Okay, so you can learn Flexbox from there. And similarly, the same guy, Vaspos, has created a course for CSS script, so you can learn this also. Okay, again, just add your email address and that's it. You will be able to learn CSS grid from this guy. Then Mozilla Firefox documentation. This is obviously the best resource. Okay. uh, Again, this will help you not while learning as such, but while building any applications or stuff, or even on the job. This will help you a lot to find what different properties do and what are the different values that it takes and stuff. Going to the next slide. Build websites. Okay, now that you have learned HTML and CSS, you should practice it. So watch a tutorial from here meaning my resources. So come over here in my resources, check for projects. In projects you will be able to see like, okay, these are the projects already on the YouTube. Okay, if you click to anyone, you should be redirected to the YouTube video. Okay, look at the YouTube tutorial and follow along. Okay, this is for people who are very new to HTML and CSS. Okay, so for the first time, it's okay to code along. Okay, so follow along and build website. Then learn basic Git and GitHub. Okay, why? Because if you just keep your code in your local desktop, it's not being shown to the world. And if you're not showing your stuff to the world, then how will people know that, okay, you know stuff, you can code? So learn basic Git and GitHub. Again, I have linked one resource over here. You can use that, and then push the project on the GitHub and deploy it on Netlify or Vercel. So what is Netlify and Vercel? These are like deployment platforms, and which are completely for free. You can use this for free. I mean, there are paid versions also of that, but the you can go for the free ones and you can use it. Even if you see, this is my currently this website is deployed on Netlify. Okay, so you should go ahead and deploy, and deploying it is very easy. I have linked the document over here. If you see here how to deploy, a step-by-step guide. So it's very easy, like very intuitive. Even if you don't go through this guide, if you just open netlify.com, you should be able to do it on your own. Okay, so just go through this blog if you need to. Similarly for Vercel, it's there, deployments and stuff, how would you do it? So use any one of these and push it. Okay, and then build. Now once you have learned, let's say 1 or 2 website, how to build it using tutorials, coding along with the tutorials, now you should build it on your own. Okay, and just build like at least 2 to 3 more websites on your own. Okay, and if you're thinking like, how do I, like, from where do I get the inspiration or stuff, then you can refer this Frontend mentor. Okay, here, come over here, see there are lots of challenges over here. Okay, go for the free ones. Okay, let's say this this like comment wala. Yeah, go over here. Okay, just you can start the challenge for free and just download all the files, and you can develop this UI. It will also show you for mobile. See how it should look in mobile and stuff. Everything is there. Even for tablet it's given. So you can completely make a responsive website based on these layouts. So practice in this website. And one more resource is this GitHub repo created by a guy named Florin Pop. He has created, and this is a very good repo. Let's see, 47,000 stars. So there are lots of app ideas over here, and if you go to any app idea, you will break it down to like what are the user stories. So basically user stories are like sort of features. If you're not working in a company till now, so you might not be knowing what is user story. So basically that's a feature, so what you want to implement. Okay, so your entire website will be separated on features, like divided in features, and what each feature does is mentioned in the user stories. And here also he has links to people who have already built it or something. See example projects. Okay, so you can use that. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so again, build, like keep building, like at least bring 2 3 4 websites of HTML and CSS on your own. Okay, now coming to the big mammoth, which is JavaScript. Again, this is never ending. Okay, I am still learning JavaScript after 6 years, and I'll keep on learning till maybe when till I am in software engineering or whatever. So JavaScript, why is it important to learn JavaScript? It is the only programming language, okay, except for WebAssembly. Like that's a newly uh, created stuff which is now supported in browser natively, but we won't be talking much about it. If you want to know more about it, you can just go to this website and learn more about WebAssembly, but that's not much important. It is never going to replace JavaScript. I'm sure about that. It may assist web development with JavaScript, but it's never going to replace it. So JavaScript, main point is, JavaScript is the only programming language that the browser understands natively. Okay, and you might have heard about frameworks and languages like GWT, which is Google Web Toolkit, and Dart is again used in Flutter, but it's also used for web development also, and a lot of other frameworks which can be used for front-end development. Okay, so you might think that JavaScript is not the only thing. There are a lot of other things, but all these things compile and translate their code into JavaScript. Yes, and then the JavaScript code is executed on the browser. So you should always learn JavaScript for front-end development, at least for front-end development. As a front-end developer, you must have a great command over JavaScript, okay? Because your browser only understands JavaScript natively. So that's there. Now, how do you learn, and what are the concepts you should be paying attention to? So there are a lot of concepts. Okay, I have listed some of them over here. I may update this, but for now I mentioned this, like how does a program execute, execution context, variable environment, call stack, higher order functions, callbacks, the difference between both of them. Like I have seen in interviews when people are asked like what is callback, what is higher order function, they give the same definition for both of them, but there's a difference. Okay, so you should know that. Then closure, very very important. Okay, application of closure, this is something which people are not aware of, and uh, even they want to know like what is actually application of closure. So currying, memoization, these are two the applications. So here I have linked an article about memoization that I have written. Whoever have gone through, see, I received some reaction on this, so whoever's gone through this, they have find it insightful. So you can go through this article and understand what is memoization. um, Again, it's an application of closure. Then this keyword, again very misunderstood thing, but it is very important to understand this. Call, apply, bind, behavior of this in arrow functions. Okay, then hoisting, let and cons, temporal dead zone, function scope, block scope, iffy. Okay, again these are, if you are like, okay, I have never heard about this, then you should learn it, and wait till the end. Like I'll tell you how you can learn it, and also I'll be taking resources over here, so you can learn from that also. So if ES6 features, again for ES6 features I have created a GitHub repo here. So I have given examples and all those stuff over here. You can go through this and learn. Even array higher order methods, map and filter, I have given examples, everything ES6 features over here. Then array higher order methods, DOM API concepts, very very important. To build plain web apps without any framework, DOM API is the most important concept. Okay, then comes event delegation, bubbling and capturing. So again for that I have written an article, you can go through it. Okay, and if you think that you know it, if you already know what is bubbling, capturing, all the stuff, read this. Okay, read this and go to this code and just guess what will the output be. Not guess, deduce based on your knowledge, deduce what the output is. If you are able to deduce the correct output, then don't read the article and don't learn bubbling and capturing, otherwise do learn it. Okay, then comes pure functions, pass by value, pass by reference, object deep comparison. Again I have written an article on this, and all of these things which I have written an article on are technically the questions that have been mostly asked in interviews. Okay, so I have given a lot of interviews, like around 50, 60, 70. I'm not counted as such, but it is more than 50. It is between 50 to 100. So I give a lot of interviews, and based on those repetitive important questions I have created all the blogs. So this is asked like couple of times, 3 times at least, that implement Java deep comparison, object deep comparison. So that's what I've created over here, so you can go through it. Then function constructor. Okay, this is actually how class works in JavaScript. So if you know what is oops, then it's internally it works very differently in JavaScript and Java and C++. So you might be just using the class keyword and creating objects, and it might look the same, but internally it's very different, and that's why you should know, or how do you create objects using function constructor, what is prototype chaining, and how oops works in JS. Okay, then comes the async tasks. So JavaScript is single threaded and synchronous. Okay, it's a single threaded and synchronous language, but you can do asynchronous tasks in JavaScript. How would you do it? That you need to learn. I already gave a talk on this. and I have a YouTube video in the same channel that you're watching the video. So this is the video. It's a 2 hour long video. you, Once you go through this video, you will be definitely clear how JavaScript does asynchronous task, uh, what is promise, and internally what is promise, async await, and how it is actually implemented using yield and generators. Okay, so yeah, those are the concepts. Now, learning resources. One is this Udemy course which I used when I started learning JavaScript, and it is still relevant. Okay, this is the first paid course that I'm suggesting. Okay, but this is like it's like see, you and I have purchased. So you should definitely go through this if you want to. Don't go through the entire course because it's like I think 60 hours plus. So don't use the entire course. Okay, but go to the, if you want, you can go to starting point and then move on to the second one, Namaste JavaScript. I am pretty sure you might have heard of this playlist. Okay, it is created by Akshay Saini, and he has explained all the concepts very well. Okay, so definitely learn and go through this. Then my JavaScript slides. So I have created JavaScript slides based on my knowledge for learning JavaScript. So you can go through this, and but this works only on laptop as of now. This website. Okay, and I do plan to make it responsive, but for now it's only on laptops. So you just go here and just learn what is JavaScript. I have taught everything in detail. Okay, even with diagrams and all those stuff. It's a very long, I think it's 70 pages or something. Whatever topics did I mention in my current video, all of them are here explained over here. Okay, so you can definitely go through this. And then again my this here, this site, come here, go to JavaScript section again, check which if you are wanting to learn through videos, then you can check any of these. Okay, um, cool. So that's about the resource. Now build web apps. Follow along some YouTube tutorials. Again, go to my website, go to projects, and click on any one of them, and uh, just build website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Build a couple of projects on your own. Okay, once you are building one or two using your tutorial, YouTube tutorial, then you can build some of them on your own. Now, don't do much, don't do more as of now, because there are some things that you need to learn before make more projects. So let's say make one or two projects, okay, on your own. And again, for project ideas, you can refer Frontend Mentor or this repo. Now, before you build more websites, there are some very important concepts that you should be aware of. So one is basic client server concepts. So when we are developing locally, we just run our local server and we are using our local host, so loopback address, and we are using that. But when you deploy, okay, you should know how exactly, when you hit the URL, like let's say if I hit this URL, how exactly is my browser getting all the HTML, getting all the CSS, and executing the JavaScript. You should be aware of that. Okay, so for that you should know basic client server concepts like URL, like what is this URL, like what are the different parts of the URL. HTTP protocol, very important. You should know how to use HTTP protocol. What are different methods of HTTP protocol, like get, post, put, delete. What is a client, what is a server. Okay, you can learn all these concepts from this video. It's a very short video, but it describes everything, and it's a very popular video, like I think 1.3 billion views are there. And if you want to go more into it, then you can definitely find some suggestions over here. So but this video is the minimum thing you should watch to understand how the basic client server works. Okay. Then also after that, fetching data from the server the right way using fetch. Okay, so usually we'll be using fetch API. If you are, till now I have not talked about any framework. So till now, if you want to do any uh, API call, then you have to use fetch API. Okay, so you should know how to use it properly. Okay, then the concepts of debounds and throttling. So debounds, again, I have written an article around that, so you can go to the article and learn about it. Okay, or you can find any other resource, like it's totally fine. The resource that I have provided over here are according to me the best, but if you want to go for other resource, just see what topic I'm talking about, and then go and search for that topic. Then comes this very important part. Okay, critical rendering path. It is the sequence of step that the browser goes to convert your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript into pixels on the screen. Now I'll tell you why this is important. A lot of time in interviews, if you have given interest of front end, you might have been asked, how would you optimize your app? Okay. Now we can give general answer like dynamic imports and all those stuff, and deploying it to the nearest edge and all those stuff. But the answer that is expected, okay, at least what I think, is that you should be telling how your browser actually processes your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and how will you be able to optimize that process. Okay, this is very very important, because I'm sure that most of the web developer don't know how exactly HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is entered into the pixel, is entered onto the screen. Now I'll ask you one more question. So you might know that all browsers have a JS engine. Okay, but are you aware that except for JS engine, there is one more engine, which is known as the rendering engine? Okay, the Chrome, it has Blink engine. The Firefox, it has Gecko engine. So in your browser, there is not only one engine. The one engine that you might be aware of is the JavaScript engine. Look at the V8 and SpiderMonkey. These are the uh, JavaScript engine. And if currently you are not aware of any of the engines, then don't worry. We'll be talking about this later. But your browser has the JS engine and one rendering engine. Okay, so it's important for you to at least know basics of how that rendering engine works. And this critical rendering part will help you to understand that. Now, learning resources, this Udacity course, this is completely free Udacity course. You can go and learn from this. Okay, even I learned from this only. And then this is a blog written by some person. I just found it. So again, this is a very well written blog about the critical learning part. You can go to this. Then comes Web Vitals. In terms of performance, speed is very important. But how do you measure speed? Like, what are the different parameters of measuring the speed? Okay, so Google has defined some sort of parameters, some sort of matrix for us to measure and then improve on them. Okay, so there are many metrics, but the main three are LCP, which is largest contentful pane, then comes first input delay, and then cumulative layout shift. Now what are these? Then that you can learn from the resources that I provide in the next slide. But we can measure these metrics locally by generating Lighthouse report from the Chrome dev tools. So if you are working in the Chrome browser, just do open the dev tools and there will be a Lighthouse option in that, and you can generate report in that. Or you can use page speed insights. Okay, here this website, for any website that is deployed. So if you want to just see for any deployed website how it performs, okay, then you can use this one. Actually, let's see how good or bad I am. I did not at all pay attention for optimizing my website, but let's see how it is. We'll come back to it because it will take some time. So then learning resources, one, there is a Google blog, okay, about Web Vitals, and this is like the best resource if you want to learn about Web Vitals. Everything is given in detail. It's the only thing is that it is in written form, so if you like to learn by video, then this is not it. But there is a YouTube video also. So again, this is by Google only, so you can learn about through video about Web Vitals in this. And there is a blog. Again, this is a very good blog that I found about the Web Vitals, so you can refer this. Okay, cool. So 94%, no, good, unintentionally nice. Cool. So see here, you can measure the performance over here. For mobile, it's bad. It's 64%. So the first contentful pane is like 5 seconds. Like that's way too much. Time to interactivity, I think there might be some issue because it should not be this bad. But yeah, at least for desktop, it is good performing. Cool. So this is how you can measure the different metrics and then improve upon them. Cool. Now build. Okay, keep on building websites. Now that you have learned not just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but the client server concept, about the critical rendering part, about the performance metrics part, now you should be able to build very good JavaScript apps. Okay, I'll tell you what the issue is. People just learn HTML, CSS, JS quickly, like very quickly, then they move on to React, and then later, like after going to the real job, they understand that okay, and I need to optimize. Then they go back to, okay, how do I optimize, how, what is this, what is this matrix, and what is this. Then it becomes difficult. But if you go to the path that I have mentioned, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then all these concepts, and then build website with just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, keeping in mind performance, keeping in mind the critical rendering path. Once you build these sort of apps and then move on to any framework, it will be way easier, because working on this matrix, improving this matrix, is not framework specific. Like it's not different for React, different for Angular, different for anything. Okay, so work on these while you are building plain simple apps using simple JavaScript. And how and all that, you should find resources, and I already told you that these are some resources that how you do it. But you need to put effort, and then you need to build apps using that. Good. I'll also be teaching about the critical learning path, but I'll come to that later, like at the end. So yeah, then build apps like I'm just giving some example, like email UI client, or like Outlook or Gmail, like just the UI part, okay, not the full stack part. Then data tables. Data tables are very very important. If you are a front end developer, I'm telling you, you'll be building a lot of data tables in your life. Okay. Then registration forms. So basically forms I'm talking about. So try to build forms. Then play with the web APIs. So there are a lot of web APIs available in your browsers. Okay, you can go through this list and try to play with around with any of the web API and create some interesting projects if you want to. Okay, cool. So now before I move to front end frameworks, let me see if there are any questions, or I'll be waiting for questions. Okay. Hello, hello, hello everyone. AJ is saying, I have a few general queries related to JS. Please go ahead. I'm taking questions now, so please go ahead. Once I'm done with the questions, till now, whatever I've explained, if you have any doubts, you can go ahead and ask the questions. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes and I'll just continue, because I think there are no questions. Or you can ask later, that's totally fine. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can comment down um, after going through the entire guide. Welcome, AJ. I just try creating good content which is helpful to everyone. Good question. How do I remember all these tactical concepts? So the reason that I remember is because I teach. Okay. Otherwise, I don't think I'll be remembering it. But thing is, I'll tell you how can you remember? Okay, how a normal person can remember who's not teaching or stuff. Keep notes. Make notes on your own. Okay. How I remember stuff is because I create so much content. And when you're creating content, it's tough. Okay. First of all, it's very tough to create content. Okay. But when you're creating content, you spend hours. One blog that I have written, okay, like any of the blog that I've written, I spend at least 4 to 6 hours in that. Okay, coming with the right language, coming with the right code. Okay, structuring the content, all of that. It takes me 4 to 6 hours. So take notes of whatever you learn and keep them handy, and organize your notes well. Okay, not just don't just take for the sake of taking it. Uh, Use any of the apps like a paper, like paper Dropbox. I use mostly paper Dropbox, or any of the app, Notion, anything, and keep notes of whatever you're learning, so that whenever, let's say, your interview comes, or let's say you just want to refer it, or you are developing your app and you just remember, okay, something that I've written, go back to your Notion, go back to your paper Dropbox, and refer all those stuff. But you need to organize it well, so that when you refer to it, you should be able to, okay, here it is, here it is. The issue with most of the people is that don't write notes and they learn from videos. Learning from videos is good, but when coming to remembering stuff, videos will not help you, because videos are like, either it's a playlist of 30 videos, and in that each video is like 30 minutes long. Then you have to scroll, okay, which point did I want, which point is where I want to learn something, remember something. So that's why you should always make notes. And it's better if you want to teach people, because when I teach people, I remember stuff. Okay, so that's another way. So, but for normal, if you don't want to teach, then just keep notes and organize your notes very well. Okay. Or create slides like this. I have creating. And I can even show you how I created. Like, see, here I have added React made with code. So what code? If I click on this reveal JS. So this is a framework or a library actually, in which I have used this to make these slides. So you can use that. Yeah. So keep a notes. Try to, or you can even do physical notes if you're good at it, pen and paper. That's also fine. It's just whatever suits for you. Do that. Okay. Do you Google for CSS style? Definitely, I Google for CSS styles. There are a lot of time that and CSS is the only thing that I Google the most. Mm, because that's very tough. Like whenever you're building a large scale application, you want to change any style, you unless you like face that scenario, you won't know what I'm talking about. It's very tricky. Okay, like you already have some system in place now. The UX designer wants something different, like very different, and you're like, okay, man, what do I do here so that I can achieve that? Then Z index and these background colors and this lot of different properties. Like you have to use before and after pseudo classes and all those stuff. Like it's tricky. Okay, so I think those are pseudo elements or classes. Like yeah, see, even currently I don't remember like pseudo classes or elements. But yeah, that's you should be you will be googling that, so it's completely normal to Google. But the basic concept you should know. Okay, like at what point you should do what, like whatever concept I mentioned, those you should know very well. Otherwise, googling is totally fine, and I do Google a lot during at least for CSS. Yep. So now I'll just continue with my slides. Okay. Now it's time for you to choose a framework for developing bigger applications. But first, know why you do even need a framework. Okay, this answer I'm not going to give you now. Okay, and you can find it for your own self. Why do you even need a framework? Like if I can build a website with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, why need a framework? Okay, so you will realize this once you build at least 3-4 web applications with plain JavaScript. Okay, and keeping in mind all the things like the critical rendering path and the performance. If you keep in mind all of that, then you will definitely be able to answer all this on your own. That why do you need a framework? Okay. Moving to the next slide. Choose a framework library. There are a lot of them. Even not just these four, there are a lot of them, but these are the most popular ones. So React, again, recommended. Yeah, one more thing, whatever I say recommended, that is my personal recommendation to you. Okay, so that's everything that is recommended in these slides, that is my personal recommendation to you. So React, Svelte, Vue, Angular, again I have given the link to all of these official website. So you can see these are the options. You can play around with all or some of these frameworks libraries and then decide what you want to pick. But for the rest of the roadmap, I'll be talking only about React because that's what I know. And I know Angular and Vue also, but uh, uh, my I have worked only on React for most of the career, so I'll be talking about that only. Now, why React? You might be thinking like, why React? It has a great community support, like super. Okay. The Facebook React team continuously improves the React library and introduces amazing feature like the concurrent mode, the suspend, the things that are coming. Okay, they are crazy, and server side components. A lot of amazing things are coming in React. Okay. And once they come, they are always trying to help developers build a better user experience. And I'm sure other frameworks also might be doing it, but I can only talk about React because I know thoroughly about that. Okay. Then there are numerous resources like plenty. You're like way more than we actually need. There are so many resources to learn anything related to React, anything, any other sort of library like React Router or Redux. There are 20 plus state management libraries. Okay, so there are resources for each of them. So that's another thing. But most important is that the demand of React developers is skyrocketing currently. The demand is too high, and if you are a capable front end or full stack developer who knows React, you can get a job at any amazing product companies. When I say any, again depends. If they take DSA, then you also need to learn DSA and all those stuff. HLD and LLD depending on your experience. I'll just mention that. But there are lots of product companies also which do not take all those rounds and they focus on your core skills. So at those sort of product companies, you can get a job with handsome compensation. Okay, when I talk about handsome compensation, few of my students okay have so I've been teaching last year entire year, like so few of my students have got offers of 25 to 30 base package. Base package I'm talking about. Okay, so there is a super high demand. They only know React, they don't even know Node. Okay, only know React. So that's how much the earning capacity is. Okay, And experience, if you talk about, they have like around 2 to 3 years of experience, like less than 1 to 2 years of experience. Right? So that's how much the demand is. So, and this demand might be there for 1 or 2 years, or maybe there are 5 years. But I would say grab on it as soon as possible. Okay, grab the opportunity as soon as possible. So if you are now convinced that why you should learn React, then go ahead with the rest of the roadmap. So important React concepts that you should know. Again, I'm mentioning it over here. I'm not explaining anything. If you want to learn about that, then again, resources section is where you should go to. So React.createElement, React DOM, these are the important things. JSX, because you will be writing your UI in JSX. The role of Babel, how Babel helps you to convert your JSX into React.createElement. That's important. Virtual DOM, very very important to know how actually virtual DOM works. People just say some normal basic things about virtual DOM, but they don't know actually how it works. They have never seen actually how each virtual DOM node looks like. So you should definitely invest your time in learning all those stuff. How to add style to JSX? There are different ways: CSS in JS, style object, module CSS. There are lots of ways. Okay. What is state? Very important to know. It's a very simple thing, but like you should know what's state. Then class-based components and their state management. Then functional component and use state. So basically, how do you manage state in class component and functional component? Then comes the component lifecycle phases and methods. Then comes the use effect hook, props, children prop, very important. Children prop is very very important and highly missed concept when people are learning React. Prop validation, then conditional rendering, like using the short circuit operator or if statements, whatever. Displaying list of data. Usually you'll be using the map higher order method of your arrays for displaying list of data. And but there is an important concept of keys in that, so you should know that. Control components. Okay, what are control components? Lifting the state up. What is this? When do you do this? Then comes some intermediate concepts. Higher order component. Event handling. So in React, you don't have the same events, access to the same events as in plain JavaScript. You have access to the synthetic events. So what is that? You should learn about that. Prop drilling and its solution. So one solution we all know that is context API, but there is another solution also, composition, which rarely anyone knows. So you should learn about that. Then other solution is context API and the use context hook. Then use reducer hook and use ref hook. Then comes the optimization part, pure components and that React.memo. And then comes US callback and use memo. Very important to know when to use this and how to use this. Then come advanced concepts: use layout effect, use imperative handle, and use debug value. So these are 3 hooks which you are rarely going to use, like almost never. But it's good to know because in interviews they do ask. At least this one they have asked a couple of times. Then concurrent mode. Okay, again this is experimental, but it will be released with I think version 18. So, but you should definitely know it. Again, that's why I mentioned it in advance. So whatever I mentioned in advance, that you can skip for now, for at least time being. But at least in interpreter, you should know everything. Then suspense, code splitting, error boundaries, very very important. Resources. So I have created a slide. Now this will work only on laptop, and there is a reason that it will only work on laptop is because this is written in MDX. Okay, so meaning I have created components. One second. And yeah, this is a sneak peek to how a virtual DOM node looks like. Okay, so you can refer to this slide. Yep. So the reason that this can't be responsive is because I have written in MDX, and MDX is by default not responsive. So here what you have to do is, you see this is a actual create component. So if you go to console, okay, put it in the left actually. Toggle class component. See, component inbound was called. This is actual React component in the slides. Okay, then update state component update was called. Then toggle will inbound. Functional component use effect was called. Update. So when you update, first cleanup function will be called. Then the callback could be called. And then when you toggle off, cleanup is called. So here it's I have to make this slides interactive to actually have the React components in this. I cannot make this responsive, so this will only work on laptop. See, this is again I'm typing it in without caps lock, but this is what I'm trying to explain here. Controlled input. So I'm controlling the input of the user. So I'm forcing him to write it in capital letters. So that's so these are the slides. You can refer these slides. I might update some of them, but whatever topic I have mentioned, most of them are covered in this. Okay, almost all of them. So you can refer these slides. Then best free resources, again, this website that I created. Go to React Just part, see the tutorials that are there over here. Okay. Again, go to the recommended sections the most. And for anything related to React, first of all, go to Google and search Kent and then space and then whatever concept that you want to learn. He definitely will have created any content on that. Okay, anything related to React. So that's one thing. Then comes Kent's blog. Yeah, Kent C. Dodds. He is a software engineer and a full-time executor. So he mostly he teaches about React, and currently he's teaching everything about Remix. So currently he's the like um, some sort of a position in Remix company. Okay, where he is going to create a content for people to learn Remix. So again, Remix is a framework based on React. I'll be talking about it later. But yeah, you can refer to his blogs. His blogs are super, like amazing, very detailed. It might be even bit more complicated for to understand his blogs, but definitely read his blog if you want to become an expert in React. Then comes this resource. Like this is the best resource on React out there. Okay, like this is the course on React. If you just do this resource one course, that's all. You don't need anything else. But only thing is it's very expensive. Okay, so it's like see 599. Even if you do it for 75% of $149. Okay, so if you can uh, if you want think that you can spend this much for learning, then you can definitely choose to buy this. It's very expensive, I admit it, so that's I mentioned it here, paid and expensive, but the best resource to learn React, like that I can guarantee. Okay, now once you have learned all this through with all this resource, all these concepts that I mentioned over here, then you can build basic React apps by following the YouTube tutorials. Okay, again mentioned over here, like in my website project section. You can go through any of these tutorials, or in actually for React there are plenty of. Just go to YouTube and in latest you will find a lot of YouTube tutorials who will show you how to build React apps. So follow along, code along with them. Okay. Then comes state management. So till now we did whatever we learned was plain React. Okay, in the React library itself. Now external React libraries which help you with state management. Okay. One thing that I have not mentioned in this slide is React router, but that's I think that should be okay. I'll mention it over here. I'll update this slide and mention it somewhere in the I think intermediate section, the React router thing, because that is also important to do. Yeah, so React state management. Although React's built-in hooks do help you manage state of your apps very well, but there are some battle tested state management libraries, okay, which are used in enterprise application, like large scale enterprise application, which will help you manage your server state. Okay, so Redux is one of those, and it's very important. Everyone, each and every company, if you are going for a React developer position, they will expect you to know Redux. Okay, it's very important. React query, this is recommended. Again, I recommend this to you personally, because this is a very good library and it can easily replace Redux. But again, like that depends on the company's choice, how your tech lead thinks or how your manager thinks. But you should definitely run React query and definitely use it in your personal projects, so you know how better it is than Redux. Then comes Xstate, Recoil. These have their own sort of personal, not personal, own sort of use cases. So this is based on state machines. So they have their own use cases. So if you want to explore, you can explore. But otherwise, only Redux will suffice. Or if you want, you can do these two, Redux and React Query. So for those resources I have mentioned over here, for Redux, the creator himself, Dan Abramov, okay, he has created two resources, fundamentals, and then one more resource. Both of them, as I said, are free. Okay, almost all resources I mentioned are free. So it's completely free resource. And this Dan Abramov guy, he's actually part of the core team of React, and he created Redux. So you should learn from him. React Query, again, some YouTube playlists is there. Xstate, Recoil. I have linked the resources, so you can learn from there. Now build React apps using any of these state management library. And you can do code along using any YouTube tutorial, or you can build on your own. Okay, anyways, it's fine. So, but build using any of the state management libraries. Going to the next point, styling frameworks. Okay, styling is another important part. There again are the plenty of CSS frameworks. I mentioned few of them like Material UI. Again, my recommendation will be learn Material UI. Enter Design, Tailwind. This is very popular. Okay, I have not yet learned this, but I know this is very popular and getting a lot of traction among developers. So might want to use Tailwind. Okay, but in enterprise applications, mostly Material UI and designs are used. So yeah, you can choose, and React Bootstrap also is there. So those are the resources, and these are the actually YouTube videos that you can learn. So basically here I mentioned the official documentation, and actually for Material UI you don't need anything else. The documentation is very well, like that is the best documentation there is ever. Okay, so for this you don't need anything. Like for Material UI, documentation is the best place. For everything else it depends. Like I have not, and design is also good, documentation is good, but nothing beats Material UI. Again, build React apps using any of the CSS framework. You might also want to do that. Don't build React app after state management. Wait for it, do learn CSS frameworks, and then build with CSS framework, or however you want. Like uh, either learn state management separately, CSS framework separately, and then start building together, or learn build, however you want. Anything is fine. Now comes build. Okay, now that you have learned core React, intermediate React, state management, CSS, React router, all of these things, now you should be building projects on your own without any YouTube tutorial. Okay, again for ideas, go to that Florin Pop's place, GitHub repo, and you can find ideas over there. And you can use any publicly available APIs from Rapid API. So this is a place where you can find public APIs. So go there, log in. I think you can create a free account over there, and you can use APIs. There are lots of APIs. Or if you want, you can use Firebase. Firebase is like a very simple way of creating backend services, like backend features like authentication, database, all those stuff. So you can use Firebase, and you will find a lot of tutorials with React and Firebase on the internet. So you can refer them. Okay. Also, keep in mind web security while building these apps. Till now, I have not talked about web security. The reason being, till now I did not talk about authentication. So till now we were building first of all building apps with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, in that we did not do any authentication. At least I did not talk about it. And then in React also, till now I am expecting you did not do any sort of authentication. Okay, maybe if you are using Firebase, you might be doing it, but otherwise you did not do it. Okay, and not just that, even for forms or any lot of things, you should protect them. You should sanitize your input and all those stuff. React does it by default, but still, you should know better. So we'll talk about web security in the next slide. What is web security? So I mean, it's simple term. So how do you secure our apps from external people to attack, external hackers to attack? Okay, so first of all, learn about the top 10 world's top 10 risks, security risks. Okay, so recently in 2020, so first it was in 2017, they came up with the top 10. In 2021, just recently, just last year, they came up with again new top 10 security risks which are available in most of the web applications. Okay, so you should learn about this. Go to each of them, you can learn about this. Okay, and see what it means. I have mentioned some of the important ones over here: cross-site scripting, CORS. Okay, this is not an error. Lots of people say, okay, CORS is an error. Like, it's a security policy. Okay, then cross-site request forgery, SQL injection. You can learn about this. So here is a resource. Okay, it's a YouTube playlist where they talk about web security in detail. Okay, each video is around 1.5 hours, so you can learn if you want in detail about web security. And this has nothing to do with React specifically. So there is no resource like for web security with React, but you can learn it in general, how it works, and then apply it in your React applications. Okay, so learn about it and try to avert this security risk while building your React apps. Okay, now coming to design patterns. First of all, let's talk what in general design pattern means. So design patterns are better tested solutions to commonly occurring problems in software development. Okay. And in terms of React, I'm talking about UI problems that we face. Okay, the component problems that we face. So here this will help you with complex apps, because usually you won't face these sort of issues if you're building mid level app. But if you're building a very complex logic or very complex app, or any library, okay, definitely any library, if you're building a library with React, then these are some of the design patterns that you should learn, and that will help you in development. So those are context module functions, compound components, flexible compound components. So compound components, if you have used material UI, then you might know that, let's say example of accordion. In accordion, you use the accordion summary and accordion details and all those stuff. But if you cannot use those outside the accordion component, right? So those are those compound components. Then comes prop collection and getters, state reducer, control props. These are very advanced concept. You can skip for now. Like if you don't want to create a library, or you're not dealing with these sort of problems, then you can skip. But otherwise, if you want to become a expert and you want to create library of your own, then you should definitely know these patterns. Again, for these patterns, Kent's blog is the best place. And one more resource which I recently discovered. Okay, it was told to me by one of my LinkedIn connection. So here you can learn about the patterns. Okay, provider pattern, proxy pattern, all these patterns, HOC, higher order component pattern. Okay, so again, this is a very good resource. Okay, testing JavaScript. So before I move to testing JavaScript, let me see if there are any other questions. Do we need to code in front-end system design interview? I have no idea on system design, so ask me. Okay, so the system design interviews are actually very abstract, and it depends company to company how they want to take it. So sometimes they even ask system design, backend system design to a front end developer, which is weird. But sometimes they ask front end design. So if they're asking front end design as such, then you don't have to code. But if the code is machine coding around, okay, and then they are asking front end system design, then you will have to do it. Okay, but those rounds will be known as machine coding instead of front end design. So then you will have to implement using a plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, that's what I know about these rounds. How much of DSA is required for fun? DSA not required, at least in your day-to-day life. Okay, but to get into big products company, definitely required. But in day-to-day life, in your dev job, it will not be required. How about Scrimba? That's also, yes, Scrimba is also a very good resource. Yes, I have not mentioned it over here, but see, there are plenty of good resources. I might not be able to mention all of them, but if you go here, then in my website I have mentioned all these. Like Odin project is there, Web Dev Beginners for Microsoft is there, uh, Fullstack Open. Again, lots of people don't know about this. It's also a very good resource. Okay, so there are plenty of good resources, and Scrimba I might add over here. Now that you told me, I added it in the interactive resource part. Okay, thanks for letting me know. How much time do you take to build net? It takes a lot of time. So currently I had a leave on Friday, Saturday. So leave as in I had a holiday. So I spent some time on Wednesday, Thursday, like 1-2 hours, and then on Friday I spent a lot of time, and Saturday. So total I would say I spent around 18 to 20 hours creating this particular guide. Okay, and yeah, you will be requiring to invest a lot of time if you want to create content. Content creation is hard, but it's worth it. Like it gives me pleasure, and I like to teach, so it gives me, and it is sort of a delayed gratification. Okay, so that's a different concept, but I'll talk about it a little. So when you create an Insta post, you instantly get likes and stuff, and creating Insta post is simple, like just create a picture, edit it somehow, and just post it. But creating content, it takes hours, 18 to 20 hours, and then once you release it, then people appreciate it, and then you get the gratification. So that's a delayed gratification. So content creation is a game of delayed gratification, and sometimes immediately you won't get the gratification. Sometimes people discover it later and then they appreciate it. So yeah, it's difficult. While facing rejections, how do you stay motivated? There's no option. See, if you're quite passionate about switching your job, and if you're quite not passionate about switching up, you're quite passionate in web development, and if you really want to switch, then there is no option but to stay motivated. Okay, even when I was in Infosys and I was switching job, Okay, I had 3 months notice period and all those stuff, and I did face a couple of rejections also, but because I had prepared well, I was getting offers also. So, but yeah, because of other factors like 3 months notice period and all those stuff, I did face rejections, and even now, yeah, there might be some interviews that I might face rejections. Okay. So that is part of your life. Some interviews you might face rejection, some you would not. It depends on like whether you have prepared well or not. Okay, once if you know you have prepared well, then some interviews will be like based on luck, like they asked only those sort of things which you didn't know, then that's just bad luck. Okay, sometimes it is bad luck. But if after an interview you think that okay, I should have prepared better, then it's on you. Okay, so dealing with rejection is something personal. Okay, that you should be motivated well enough to be a developer. If you know that you want to switch job, you want to get that job in product based company or anyways anywhere you want. Okay, then you will never get demotivated. You will just keep trying to do better. The only thing that I will say, whenever you are done with an interview, immediately note down all the questions that you were not able to answer. Okay, I do that every time. So immediately note down and then learn those. Okay, that's how I created all these articles. The articles that I created was all the common questions which initially I was not able to answer, and then I learned about it, and then I created articles so that I can. Yeah, and one more thing, like creating content also helps you solidify your knowledge. Okay, so do that part. Cool. Let's continue. Testing. Testing is very important. Okay, it is expected now by almost all the companies. If you see the job description, they will say that you should know unit testing. And also, unit tests are part of definition of done. So, some of you who are working in agile, you would know what is a DoD. That means if with all your user stories, you should be unit testing your code. It should not be part of a separate user story. So, if you're taking a feature in your user story, okay, then it is understood that you will be writing unit tests for it. So that's a definition of done. Until that is not, unit tests are not done, your story will not be considered as completed. So unit tests are very much important, are expected to be done with every development, every small features development also. So first, understand what unit test means. Okay, so basically testing your own code. So if you write, let's say, I'll take a very simple example. You're writing a code function which adds to number. Then you should pass different sort of values and check what are the expected values. Like if you pass a string, then you should handle it properly. Like you should throw an error or something. Okay, and let's say you're doing a division function, then they are doing a zero. You should handle that, and you should expect what output should come when you do that. So that is what testing your code means. Okay, I've given very small examples, but yeah, you can. That's how you start learning, like from small things, and you okay that you understood. Okay, this is what testing means. Then you go ahead and implement test in your applications. Again, for testing, I'm thinking to teach. I'll tell you. I'll let you know. So then test some of your plain JavaScript apps. So if you are following this guide dedicatedly, then you would have built some JavaScript apps. Once you have built the JavaScript apps, now you can test them using Jest. Okay, Jest is a library created by Facebook to test. Okay, so you can use this library and try to test your application in plain JavaScript, which you created in plain JavaScript. And also for learning test, you can use this Udemy course. Udacity course, free Udacity course. Okay, free, a very good resource also. They will explain you what is testing, how to approach testing, what is your mindset while testing, all those things. Then testing React. Okay. For testing React, I would recommend use React testing library, again recommended by me. So you can use Enzyme. There is another option. Learning resource for both of them is available over here. And again, I'm mentioning one paid course. This is by Kensley Dodds. This is again amazing resource to learn testing. Again, but this is expensive, but depends. Like if you want, but it's worth. Gives you amazing value. So that's why I mentioned it over here. It will help you learn testing JavaScript, React, also in Node. But till now we did not cover Node, so I did not mention it in this slide. Now, perfect segue. So Node.js. Okay. First of all, you need to understand that Node is not a framework. There's a misconception for people who don't know Node, but have heard of Node, that they think that it's a framework or a library. It's not a framework or a library. Okay. It is a JavaScript runtime. What does that mean? It helps you run your JavaScript outside the browser. Because for now, if you want to run your executor JavaScript, you have to run it in browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, whatever it be. But if you want to run it, let's say in your server, okay, you want to write some server-sided code in JavaScript, then you have to use Node. Okay, so most commonly used for server-side code, and it provides a set of built-in modules. Important concepts you should know: Node internals, okay, internally how it works, module.exports, and difference between module.export and exports. There are two different things. Then how does require work? Okay, it's actually a function. Okay, so how does it work? Then REPL mode. This is a simple thing. I think it's a read. Yeah, it's a simple thing. Then comes built-in modules, HTTP, file system, crypto, OS, stream. There are a couple of more. Should explore them and see how you can use it in your application. Usually people just go for all the fancy npm packages that are available, but your node itself is providing a lot of modules which you can use, bare bone modules. So you should try to use that first. Then try to understand events. Node is event driven. Okay, so what does event driven mean? I did teach node to a couple of students, like 10 students in last year. Okay, and I taught everything about node that I knew, and once they understood events, they were like, oh my god, this is how node works. Okay, and even when I understood node events, I was like, oh great, now I understand how node works. It's completely event driven. Okay, but you should understand what event driven means. Then you should know about libuv. Libuv is an integral part of node.js. Okay, this is the library. If you go to code, I think GitHub should come. Here it will say libuv is a multi-platform support library which focuses on asynchronous I/O. It was primarily developed for use of Node.js. Okay, so this is a very integral part of Node. You should know about this. Okay. So these are the concepts. Now to learn, again I'm recommending one paid resource. This is a Udemy course, very good Udemy course. I have not gone through this, but I've gone through the concepts that they are trying to cover. Okay, and I have read reviews of this, so you can go through this. You can use this, and YouTube tutorial. Again, always there will be YouTube tutorials. I have linked to it. Going to the next slide, full stack. So now that you know React, you know Node, you can develop full stack app. So when I say full stack, like just stack is basically what I'm talking about. So you can learn either Express or Fastify. Again, I recommend Fastify. Reason being, if you go to Express, okay, if you go to their, one second, why is the GitHub link awesome? They don't have GitHub link, but see the last. Oh, they created a release recently. Nice. Actually, they did not create any release since 2 years. Okay, it was last for 2019. I think they created one. So it is not maintained well. Okay, is what my point was. And Fastify is a very good option. It's very fast compared to Express, so that's why I recommend this. But you can learn both of any of them. It's fine, totally fine. Both of them will work good. And these are actually technically not frameworks. They are just a wrapper over the HTTP module of Node, but still worth learning. And if you talk about framework, then I should have included Next.js in this. Let me just talk about it in brief. So not sorry, Nest. NESTJS. It's Next.js. Yep, a progressive Node.js framework. So if you talk about Node framework, then this is a framework. Okay, I will add to it to the slides. But Express and Fastify, according to me, are not frameworks. They are just a wrapper over the HTTP module of Node. So you can learn these. Okay, you can learn a database and an ORM. What is an ORM? It's a object relational mapping. Okay, or you can call it a middleware. So it helps you execute queries without even writing them. Okay, so you can just use barebone functions that will internally do the object relational mapping. Okay, this is a concept. So everything in object is converted into queries, and like they map the your JavaScript objects into the entities. Okay, so but that's conceptual thing. So basically it means that you should use any middleware which helps you execute queries with just using functions, and you don't have to be concerned about writing like select star or insert into or all those stuff, update. So learn either MongoDB or Postgres. Okay, I would recommend learning both of them, and then Mongoose or Prisma. So Mongoose for MongoDB, and Prisma is an ORM for PostgreSQL. Again, resources are over here. So build a full stack mon app by following along a YouTube tutorial I have mentioned over here. This is Pern, this is Postgres DB Express React and Node. This is Mon, this is Mongo Express React and Node. Okay, so yeah, these are the resources. And now let's go to the slide. React full stack frameworks. So there are a couple of frameworks, okay, which are React full stack, meaning the primary are React on front end, and on back end you can use Node. So those I would recommend you to do the next thing once you are done with Node and once you have reached this part. So Next.js and Remix are the best ones. Okay, you should always learn either of these. Remix is actually pretty new, so you can go for Next. The tutorials I have provided over here, YouTube tutorial, and one is Kent's, because I said it, Kent is now part of the Remix team, so he teaches it very well. And then build some projects from using Next.js, and then on your own. Uh, for Remix, you won't find more YouTube tutorials as of now, but I'm planning to teach. Actually, I bought a domain, learn remix dot. This is a domain that I bought, and I plan to teach remix, but it will take a couple of months before I am trying to, because currently I'm myself learning remix. So once I learn remix, I'll be teaching remix. Okay, but this will take some time. But I bought the domain because, like, yeah, I was pretty much excited about remix. Yeah, so that's about that. So go for Next.js if you want for now. Then comes the PWA. What is a PWA? PWA means Progressive Web App. These apps are created in such a way that they are reliable, they are installable. So if you go to some of the apps like web apps in your Chrome browser in your phone, you will get a button install. Okay, so once you install it, it has a shortcut icon on your mobile phone, and next time you can just directly click it, and then it will work as a app. It's a native app. Okay, how does it happen? Because of the PWA. Okay, so you did not go to Play Store, did not install it explicitly. Okay, but still you have an app on your phone because of the PWA. Okay, so learn PWA fundamentals like web app manifest and service workers. Again, the best resources by created by Google themselves. So these are all the resources. Some of the topics are coming soon, so you can wait for them. But you can learn all of these things. Once you learn about them, again, that is not specific to any framework. There are general concepts, so you can just apply to it and make any of your existing React apps. So you created a couple of React apps, right? So make your any of the React apps a progressive web app by implementing those fundamentals like web app manifest and service workers. This is actually most important, service workers. Okay, next, TypeScript. Actually, when I was building this guide, I was thinking whether I should make TypeScript add it to the front, like priority, and then teach everything else, or should I keep it at the end? Because TypeScript is that important. Okay, it is actually a superset of JavaScript. Okay, and it adds additional syntax to JavaScript to support static typing. So I'll tell you what is static and dynamic. So basically, in JavaScript, you can define variables without defining the type. You can just do var a equals to 10 or let a equals to 10. You don't have to say whether 10 is integer or what is it, like float or what is it. You don't have to say that. So that is what is known as dynamic typing. Okay, at the runtime, it will know what is this. Like it is a string, it is a number, it's a boolean, whatever it is. But what static typing means, during that compilation type itself, it will know, okay, this is the number, this is the string, this is this. Okay, so that's what TypeScript adds to. TypeScript code converts to JavaScript. So whenever it's running, as I said, browser only natively understands JavaScript, so it will be running JavaScript only. But it will help you write code which is safe. When I say safe, so a lot of times when you are writing JavaScript code, you will run into some runtime errors. That will happen only when you are testing your app. And I have personally faced this, so I know this. That when you are testing your app, you will run into some errors. Like you are expecting something, an array, and you are using some array method on it. Okay, but that was written undefined by the API. So now you have to make go back to our code and like add some conditions. But if you are doing it with TypeScript, these sort of errors will be caught very early on. Okay, so that's why the power of TypeScript is there. And I have talked about TypeScript a lot in this video, so I have mentioned it over here. So in this video I have talked a lot about TypeScript, and you can go through it, why you should use it, what is it, what value does it add to you or something. So you can watch this video if you want to learn, if you want to understand why use TypeScript. Then if you want to learn, this is the resource by Microsoft. So Microsoft has created TypeScript, so they only create and maintain it, so you can learn from them. There are 6 modules in this, learn from them, or YouTube tutorials are always there. Then there is this YouTube tutorial for learning React with TypeScript, and there is this cheat sheet. So go when you're developing with React application in TypeScript, you can go to this and check how would you do particular things in with TypeScript in React. Okay. But I would say TypeScript is very important, and in coming days it will become a what do you say, necessity in your job description that you should know TypeScript. Currently it's good to know, but soon it will become should know. Okay, so definitely learn TypeScript whenever you get time. And to end testing, usually, okay, this is part of your QA. So QA is another person, like a quality assurance person, whose job is to find bugs and tell the developers that fix this. Okay, so that's what a QA does. And end-to-end testing sometimes is done by QS, and sometimes it's done by the developer itself. Again, this is not so much important to learn, but once you're done with all of the things, like everything that you did it, okay, you did all of these things, then if you are getting time, then come to end-to-end testing. So it's a software. So what is end-to-end testing? So it is a software testing method that validates your entire software from starting to the end, along with integration and external interfaces. In simple, if I want to explain end-to-end testing, is basically, let's say you are building an app. So you build one module in that, like one feature. So now before releasing, what you'll do, you'll go to the app, you will test each and everything manually, and you will then deploy into production. Next time what will happen is you will build another feature. So now you have to test both of them, first feature and second feature. Doing that, you will be building 10th feature. At the 10th feature, you have to now test all your 9 features. Testing it manually, you might get bored, you might skip some tests, you might be thinking, "Arey, ये तो चलता है नहीं, last time भी चल रहा था." You might do that, okay? Or you might miss something, or you might have changed something in your code, and you might not notice it, you might not have tested it, and it goes into production and it bursts and it crashes. Okay, what end-to-end test helps you with, automates that part. So once you write one feature, you write end-to-end test for that, run that. Only when those execute successfully, you deploy to production. Again, after 10th feature, you write the end-to-end test for all the features, like you'll be writing after every feature. So before releasing the 10th feature, all the end-to-end tests for all the features will be run, and then your app is thoroughly checked, and now you can deploy it to production. Okay, so it simulates actual user flow. Okay, and should include as many functional areas as possible. Okay, and there are lots of frameworks for this also, but I would recommend Cypress. It's the best one. Even I have used this personally. It's a very good framework, so you should use that. Again, YouTube tutorial is there. Yeah. Coming to next, again, optional thing. When I say optional, like least priority. If it's optional, then obviously I should not mention it, but it's the least priority. Learn containerization. Okay, it's very important. It will help you to deploy and scale your app easily. Okay. I cannot explain it more without going into too much of depth. That's why I have given resources, but it will help you a lot. Trust me. Now I have learned this last year itself, Docker and Kubernetes, and it helps me a lot. Previously also I used to use Docker and Kubernetes but I did not understand how it works. But now I understand how it works and what is the importance of it. So you should definitely learn containerization. Okay, what is it? It's packaging of software code along with its library and frameworks and all those dependencies, and it has its own isolated container. Okay, it's not running in a machine, it's not running in a Windows machine or a Linux machine, it's working in a container. Okay, so it's actually very good concept. Once you learn about it, you will understand. So learn Docker. So again, I have given a YouTube tutorial over this. And then you can even learn Kubernetes. Again, a good tutorial I have suggested over here. What is Kubernetes? It's help you scale and manage your containerized application. Okay, so once you containerize your application with Docker, you should know how to scale and maintain those. So that is done with Kubernetes. Again, this is very least priority, so don't be worried about too much. Okay, so much I have to learn, and this and that. See, one thing that I want to emphasize is people, especially freshers, they want to learn everything very fast. Okay, and that what to do? They just learn the basics and they think that they now know everything. Don't do that. Okay, learn everything in systematic way, and it will take time. Even after 6 years of experience, there are so many things that I have to learn, and when I learn them, I'll share with you. Okay, so it's a lifelong learning process. Don't think that you're falling behind and all those stuff. Okay, this containerization, this end-to-end test can wait. First, the core web fundamentals should be learnt well. Okay, then only come to this slide. This slides go through this roadmap slide by side. Don't skip anything. Okay, now coming to the next one, CI/CD. So now you know Docker, now you know Kubernetes, and now you can do CI/CD. Even without that you can do, but it's better to do after that. So what is CI? So it means, so let's say you are working with lot of, you're not the only one working in a project. There are lots of other people. So what you need is, once someone commits the code, the code should be integrated into the branches, like feature branches or develop branches or master branches, and there should be some tests running. Okay, which will validate whether the code committed is a good quality code, it's matching the coding standards of your company. Okay, so that should be validated. So that is what is known as continuous integration. Okay, I'll read it out. It is the practice of automating the integration of code changes from multiple contributors into a single software project. Okay, automated tools are used to assert the new code's correctness. So there'll be automations like Jenkins and all those stuff. They will do automation of, like, okay, it is building fine, whether what the, at the end of your code there should be an artifact which is to be deployed, right? So that artifact is built correctly without any error. Is there any security risks? Have you included any password? All those stuff will be tested here. And then comes CD, which is continuous deployment. It is a software release process that used automated testing. This means integration testing, end-to-end testing, unit testing. Okay, those of these to validate if the changes to the code base are correct and stable for immediate deployment to production environment. Okay, so this is a very important part. CI/CD, you should also learn. Again, least priority, but you should learn. Okay. Resources for these are over here. You should use GitHub Actions to play around with and understand how CI/CD works. I have provided the resources over here. Again, there another tool is Circle CI, so you can learn from either GitHub Actions or Circle CI. Then comes cloud computing. So once you are done with all of this containerization, CI/CD, then you can come to cloud computing. You can use any of these: AWS, Azure, GCP. All of them, anything will work. I personally know Azure very well. So deploying your app on clouds gives you access to a lot of features like telemetry logs. Telemetry logs, I'll tell you why that is important. So when your app is deployed in production and there is some error, the user will come to you, will ask, okay, this is error I'm getting, but they will never tell you what they did exactly what they do that they got into that error. And sometimes that is very important to know, to reproduce the exact scenario, and telemetry logs will help you with that. So what telemetry logs are, it will track each and every interaction of the user that happens on the web, in your web app. Okay, so that's why telemetry logs is a very important thing, and that is provided by all of the cloud providers. Then real-time performances. So you want to know that currently how many people are trying to access your servers, okay, your backend code, or how many people are trying to hit a particular page. You want to know which pages are performing well, which are pages are not performing well. For all of those sort of metrics, you can use these clouds. I mean, there are other software also, but that do only one thing. In cloud, you get all of these together. Okay. Then deployment at different availability zones. Now, what is this? So let's say you are deploying your app in one data center of AWS. Okay, but that's due to some issues, it goes off. Then there will be a different availability zones which will be backup. So once that is not available, it will immediately switch to the next available zone. Okay, so that's what you can configure. So whenever we deploy our app, you should do it in like Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai. If you're doing, you should deploy it in three different areas. Okay, and if you're doing it in the US, like say East US, West US, you can deploy it like that. um, then disaster recovery. Disaster recovery, let's say the data center, it was in an area where a tsunami came or a flood came. Okay, then those sort of, then your site will be down. Okay, so those will be taken care by the cloud providers. So you have to configure things, but eventually it will be taken care. So those are all the things which are important. Keeping your site available, measuring the performance. Okay, measuring the logs, and telemetry logs also help you find the error before even the customer reaches to you. So you get the alerts. Oh, there are options for alerts, so you get the alerts. Okay, this is the errors that this customer faced. So before even the customer reaches to you via mail or any Jira ticket or anything, you will know, okay, this is the issue. I'll start debugging it. What is the issue? Okay, why the user might have faced the issue. So that's about cloud computing. The end, at least for now. I mean, this is very funny actually, because uh, web development is continuously growing thing. Okay, and with every year or with every couple of years, there will be new things. Okay, so, and you should not learn each and everything, but you should learn all the standard things. So whatever I've taught here, they are all the standard things that you should know. And also I told what is good priority and least priority. So till full stack development, all you should learn. But after that, everything is least priority, so you should learn afterwards. Yeah, so this is it for the roadmap. Now, next thing that I want to talk about is that I personally plan to teach JavaScript, React, Node from basics to intermediate level on YouTube. Okay, and this sessions will be starting. This again will be live sessions, so you can ask questions and all those stuff. And it will be starting from 13 January. I at least hopefully I'll be starting it from 13 January every Sunday. Okay, and also I plan to teach the rest of everything which I've mentioned in this guide, like everything that I mentioned in this guide, as part of a cohort. Okay, and that cohort will start later, but first you should follow all the sessions that I take in YouTube and learn from that. Okay, the knowledge that I share on YouTube itself will help you clear any JavaScript interview round, like React, Node, JavaScript, any interview round you'll be able to clear at any company, product company, big tech company. But I'm talking about JavaScript, okay, not DSL. So you will be able to clear any JavaScript rounds at any company. Okay, and also not just, it's not just for interview knowledge and not no practical knowledge. You will get practical knowledge also. So it will also help you develop robust web apps. Okay, and then if you are interested, like after watching all these videos which I'm talking about, like JavaScript, React, Node, I'll also be talking about critical running part. I'll also be talking about a bit of testing and all those stuff. So after all those videos, okay, if you feel, if you want to know more about, and if you want to follow all those, learn all these things that I've talked about in this slide, then you can join the cohort and become a web developer expert. More details about cohort will be shared in LinkedIn later. It is too early to talk about the cohort as of now, because first I'll completing this itself will take me at least 2 to 3 months. Okay, so not even 2 I think 3 months at least it will take for me to complete this in on YouTube. So after that only we'll be talking about cohort. So yeah, that is the last slide. If you want the link to this, it is already in the YouTube video description. Now I'll see if there are any questions. Yes, Yashwant, this video will be available after. Like, so I'll wait for like 4 more minutes. It's 5 6. I'll wait till 5:10 if there are any questions. Otherwise, we'll just wrap up the live. And yeah, if you uh, got any value from this guide, or if you feel this guide is good, then do share it with your groups, like with people. If you're in college, share it with your in your batch or somewhere, or if you a software developer, like already a working professional, you can share it on LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere. And also if you want to share any feedback to me personally, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I reply to each and everyone. So yeah, I did spend a lot of time 18 to 20 hours to create this guide, so definitely share it. Okay. And also one more thing that I would mention here is that I am planning So I learn a lot. Okay, so what I'm planning to do is every Wednesday I will come live and I learn on YouTube. Okay, so that's what I'm planning. Again, I'm not committing on this, but I might do it every Wednesday night. I might learn something new regarding to web development, and I will do it live on YouTube. Okay, I do not have any experience in my age. Notice, can I get web development as a fresher? Now I'm learning. Yes, it doesn't matter. Your age doesn't matter. Even at 30, 40, also you can start learning development, and you can get it. But be patient is all I ask. Okay, people, the only thing that I ask from you is be patient and be dedicated. Then you will be able to do anything. Okay, just follow this guide. Okay, if you are new to web development, just follow this guide, and I have given all the resources, everything, and also I'm telling everything is available for free. The resources that I mentioned over here, even there are resources outside what I've not mentioned over here. You can find them and you can learn. Okay. All you need is dedication, commitment, and patience. Like patience is something that I see currently freshers don't have, or even new people who are coming to development don't have. So keep patience. Okay, एक महीने 2 महीने में नहीं होगा, ठीक है? Even 6 months could be. My cohort will be of 6 months, but that is 6 months after you learn the 3 months, so it will be actually 8 months or something. We'll see about the cohort, but I think if you can spend 20 hours per week dedicatedly, so that will be 80 hours per month. So that will be, you need at least 500 hours, at least 500 minimum, to become a good web developer. Okay, so that will be around 6 months. Okay, but that doesn't mean you should not apply for jobs. You can apply for jobs once you are done with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React basics. You can start applying for jobs. That's fine. That will give you exposure, that how much you know and how much you want to learn more, how much you have to learn better. So start applying jobs after you are done with React basics, but never stop learning. Again, one more mistake that people do: once they get job, they are like, "Ha, abhi ho gaya na. Now I don't want to learn. Now I only do what the company asks me." That is not going to help you, because sooner or later you will need to learn these concepts, and if you stop, then you're just stopping your own growth. So there, Modi, I am an SD3. Yeah, I work with React. Um, TypeScript, like in one of the projects we use, but not the main one that I'm using. And yes, CSS, yeah, definitely. This daily basis I use it. Cool, cool, cool. I'll just wait for 1 more minute. By the way, if you have doubts after this, also you can comment in on here, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I do answers. Cool, cool. I think how much long was this? 332, 510, 1 hour 40 minutes. Cool. I approximated it to be 2 hours. Um, so yeah, that's it for today's live. Um, I hope you got some value from this. Um, do follow this guide, and when I teach, if you want to learn from me, then you can join the session and attend it. I know there are good playlists out there. Even I have mentioned it. Namaste JavaScript is a very good playlist for JavaScript. But don't be like, okay, मैं इधर से ही पढ़ूंगा, मैं उधर से ही पढ़ूंगा. Don't be fixated on a creator. Okay, learn from different resources. You might learn something new. Okay, even I do that. I learn from a lot of different resources, creators. Okay, cool. So that's it for today's live. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.